وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي أشدد به أزري وأشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Welcome, dear friends. Inshallah, we will continue studying the verses of the Quran, inshallah. Also, the Quran, 25th word from the words, what the Quran is, for example, and how we can benefit from it, inshallah. So, last time we were discussing about there was a comparison being made between the current civilization and what the Quran message of the Quran offers. So, that was beautiful to kind of understand because none of this civilization kind of gives us the idea that, yes, think about what the source of existence is. They just take everything for granted. That's how our living kind of situation is. We take everything as if this is a gift, and anything that bothers us, we think that's something troublesome. We never regard as if, yeah, all this years of living, everything has been given to us, being is being given to us as a gift, right? So the rhetoric of civilization is godless in a way, with no hope for eternity. So no hope for eternity. So we discussed about sorrow and joy, which are two feelings. With our experiences in the universe, we either experience sorrow or joy, right? So these two feelings do come to us all the time, and either it be hopeless, right? Or being hopeful with the concept of eternity. Those two feelings kind of what the purpose these feelings are given for, they fulfill that purpose with the concept of eternity. Right? And then the author was giving us an example of section Ikhlas, right? He begets not, nor is he begotten, and there is none like unto him. From the Quran, section 112, verses 3 and 4. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. And we saw how different classes of people kind of benefit according to their level of understanding. So we broke it down in terms of the higher class, basically those who understand whatever the qualities of God, he has absolute meaning that he did not inherit any of those qualities of God and bequeathed, doesn't give any created being any of those qualities. So that's why we call him absolute or infinite. Yes, Brother Ali. Oops, okay. All right, so everyone can get their share of understanding from the message of the Quran based on how much they developed their own understanding. So in a way, no one is left without any share. Right, everybody gets their fair share. So we're going to go over another interesting verse as an example and how different classes of people benefit from it. And this is a very, I was always curious about what this verse means and how when I read it. So Muhammad is not the father of any of your men, which is verse from section 33, verse 40. I think section Ashab. Right, so let's bring it up. This one. Right. أعوذ بالله ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين وكان الله بكل شيء عليما. Muhammad is not the father of any of your men, but he is the messenger of God and last of the prophets. God knows all things. So now let's break it down. The share of understanding from this of the first class. Zaid, some individual, the servant of God's noble messenger. Peace and blessings be upon him, whom he also addressed as my son. Right? So he took him as a son, although he was not his biological son. So divorced his stately wife because he did not find himself equal to her. Yeah, so for some reason, equal to her. On God's command, the messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, took her. The verse says, if the prophet calls you son, it is in respect of his messengership. So there are certain sayings and acts of the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, that have to do with his messengership. Excuse me. In regard to his person, so this is another aspect of the prophet being a person. He is not your father, so that the women he takes should be unsuitable for him. So this is the share of one understanding. Of course, we can talk about it as well, in a way, once we look at the other shares as well. So the second class's share is this: a great ruler looks on his subjects with paternal compassion. If he is a spiritual monarch, ruling both outwardly and inwardly, then since his compassion goes 100 times beyond that of a father, his subjects look on him as a father and on themselves as his real sons. A father's view cannot be transformed into that of a husband, and a daughter's view cannot be easily transformed into the view of a wife. So, since the prophets taking the believers' daughters would seem inappropriate, the Quran says the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, acts kindly towards you with the eye of divine compassion and treats you in a fatherly manner. In the name of his messengership, you are like his children. But with regard to his human person, he is not your father, so that his taking a wife from you should be unfitting. Excuse me. So the third group would understand it like this: you should not claim a connection with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and relying on his perfections and trusting in his fatherly compassion, commit errors and faults. Relying on his perfection and trusting in his fatherly compassion, commit errors and faults. So be careful. Yes, many people are lazy because they lean on their elders and guides. They even sometimes say our prayers have been performed, like some Alawis. The fourth point. Another group would understand a sign from the unseen from this verse as follows: the Prophet's male children would not remain at the degree of men, rijal, in consequence of some wise purpose. His descendants would not continue as men. Since through the use of the term rijal, it indicates that he is the father of women, his line would continue through women. And praise be to God, Fatima's blessed descendants like Hassan and Hussein, the radiant moons of two luminous lines, continued the physical and spiritual line of the son of prophethood. O God, grant blessings to him and his family. All right, so let's go back to the first class understanding, inshallah. So this is from the occasion of revelation, right? That this kind of interpretation is coming, the share from this verse. Muhammad is not the father of any of your men. So historically, I kind of have heard about this, about Zayd being his somebody in his household, and then right, who had to divorce his wife, and then the Prophet, peace and blessing upon him, took her as the wife. Right? So this is one sort of understanding. And then the clarity being made is that him being the messengership is when he calls you a son, basically. Whereas his person is different. So when he gets married to that lady, that was he regarded as a son, but not the real son, then it's interesting actually. Yeah. So in regard to his person, he's not your father. So let's see. Somebody has so the point here. Faria puts a comment. The point here is that he was not acting on his own behalf, rather in God's command. Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, so whatever probably he did was according to, yeah, God's command. Right? So it is in respect of his messengership that he is the son, but in regard to his person. So I would like to hear any comment on this first aspect before we move to the second. So what type of example that sets for us then? Okay. Any comment on this verse? How the first one is stating, so there's a distinction between the messengership and his individual person. So is that a fair share of understanding? That's one thing, right? Brother Ali, please go ahead.
This kind of studies that the author is presenting to us, that every verse needs to be understood from different perspectives of different category, or you call it class of people. Quran is subject to be read in this way, not one thing. So when we look at uh, some other works, they don't really, we don't see that they are really reading the Quran at these different levels that the Quran addresses, the verses address to these people with this meaning, to this category of people with this meaning. So none of them is exclusive. All of them are inclusive. But depending on where you stand, depending on what you can grasp for it, depending on what your profession is, depending on what your priority is, excuse me, depending on what your priority is. So it has many aspects that we have to pay attention. Thank you.
Yep, so most of the time, like the interpretations that we listen to, right, or hear or read, so they give like a background also, right, in terms of the story, that why it happened in a way. So that's also according to how they understood it, basically, according to their understanding, what their interest is. And then when I read it, I also can interpret it according to what my interests are and how I can do it. Right, so the second class is also a different kind of share in terms of more broad, in terms of as a fatherly, paternal compassion, basically employed by God, right, with the eye of divine compassion. So he treats everyone in a fatherly manner, as if everybody needs to take care, concerned about everyone in a way, every being. So in the name of messengership, everyone is like the children, but with regard to his human person, he is not the father. But keeps hammering on that fact that he's not your father, right? So that taking a wife from you should be unfitting. So there was a comment on what's the difference between the first and second. Okay, yeah, as if not a biological father, correct. Yes, it's a little more, I guess, broader than, or this is more specific to the actual event that happened. The first one and the second one is more broad, I would say. Right. And the third one is also a little more broader, basically. Basically, you cannot just say, yeah, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and then not really follow exactly, know exactly what that means in terms of why do I give salawat to the Prophet and why do I accept the Prophet? What is the Prophet for me in my life? Basically, just claim that, yes, I believe in the Prophet, God and the Prophet, and then just I'm busy with my whatever work or my own, whatever I have to do, my business. Right? So people are lazy and they lean on their elders and guides. And the fourth one, so this was a little tricky. I didn't really understand the fourth point, so I need someone else to actually work with me on this. Right? So what's this whole thing about Rijal, right? The male children, and then the would not remain at the degree of men. What does that mean? Right? And his descendants would be from women, right? The line would continue through women. So this group, I think we need more clarification on this. All right, who would like to share? Looking at Brother Ali, if you would like to share your thoughts. Or maybe someone else, Suhail or Adam, would you have any thoughts on this as well? Or Fariha? Brother Ali, are you there? Okay, Adam, go ahead.
Good. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Um, Another group would understand a sign from the unseen from this verse as follows. The Prophet's male children would not remain at the degree of men, rijal. In consequence of some wise purpose, his descendants would not continue as men. I'm sorry, I'm just reading it. Since through the use of the term rijal indicates that he is the father of women. His line would continue through women. The verse says, ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم. Muhammad is not the father. He is not the father of any of you men, min rijalikum, from your men. Muhammad is not the father of any one of your men, but he is the messenger of God and last of the prophets. So that's an indication that he will not have sons that will inherit him directly, like Sister Fariha said. There will be no direct son there. No one can be. No one can claim to be. And that's simply, I think, just it won't happen. And that's a sign that it will come through, like it said here, Hassan and Hussein, Fatima's blessed descendants. So they were the ones who carried the line, the spiritual line. It did not come directly from his own sons. Maybe it was a predetermination. I don't know when the revelation of this verse happened. I don't know if it matters. In one sense, it doesn't matter. But if he had a son, then it was a indication or an omen that his son will not be the one who will be the descendant or the inheriting one, because he will not grow up to be a son. That's what I understand it means. Will not remain at the degree of men. Inshallah. I hope it makes sense. That's what I think.
Yep, thank you. And Suhail has a comment. Suhail, you want to read it?
Hey, assalamu alaikum. No, from the fourth point, I also took from that, I think, what was it, the second point? That he is the spiritual father of all. And that having a descendant through a daughter rather than a male son or a son, it's, it leaves open the wisdom of him being spiritual father to all. So he's not a father to just one person, like to one male. Because it would, how do I say, if there was a son that was or who was the descendant, then it would seem like his line or his fatherhood would just extend only to his immediate family to some extent. So by only having a female descendant or descendants through only a daughter, his like fatherhood extends beyond his own immediate bloodline. I think that was the second point, isn't that? Or first, maybe that was the first point. That where he says about spiritual father to all.
Yep, that makes sense, Suhail. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, interesting. So, yeah, so he cannot basically bequeath anything to the son, like any qualities or any the line that will, or his descendants basically. So it has to go through female through his daughters and then the got it. Interesting.
Just to add, sorry, one. It's like because the idea that the male inherits from the father, like there's nothing like that with him. So there's no particular male. Everyone inherits from him. So
Got it. Yeah. All right, Brother Ali, please go ahead.
I am sorry. I was interrupted. I'm sorry. Now, as far as I see the note from Adam, I don't know whether you have talked about it because I was busy with something else. So the second and the third, I understood this as the difference. First of all, in prophets' behavior towards towards the other people is like a compassionate father. And what does it mean? He is being compassionate. He is being kind to you. You should not be spoiled. Now, and this spoiling means spoiling means, that's what I understood, in the name of messengership, you are like his children. Yeah, he treats you in a fatherly manner. Brings us to the third group. Third group, many people are lazy. Now, you underlined it. Because you lean on their elders and guides. It means, I am one of his ummah. He is going to make shafaat to me, intercession. So, he's a so nice person, very compassionate person. He will not ignore me and uh, uh, exploit his fatherly compassion. Rely on his shafaat only and not do your own business, as if spoiled children. That is how I saw the difference between second group and third group class of people.
Sorry, my question was about first and second.
First and second. Did I wrote it? Yeah. Is this first and second different? Is second and third? Does second and third make sense? The difference?
I think so. I think so. I'm trying to get the point.
Now, compassionate father doesn't mean I shouldn't do my job. Relying on his compassionateness. Therefore, what people say that I am an ummah, so Prophet is going to intercede for me before God. So don't do his duty. Understood? Don't
Definitely, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the third one. Yes?
Yes, correct. The difference between second category and third category of people. That is what I was trying to understand. The difference between first category and second category, those people read the Quran as a book of codification. This is the general, that's what I was trying to get into. General attitude of the commentators, only the commentators on the Quran, approaching the Quran from canonical methods. So they will say, just the Prophet is not the father of anyone, and the example of this, his adopted child, Zayd, and his divorced wife declares that adopting a child does not make make this child as your biological son. So inheritance and everything must be arranged, the rest of the Sharia rules accordingly. That is the Sharia rule side of it. But the second category is being a compassionate father, educating his children, preparing his children for life, so the children will take up their responsibility. So don't think that the father is going to bequeath, leave all his property to you, you don't have to do anything. No. Third category, don't say that the Prophet is going to intercede for me before God and I will be saved. Don't think of it in this way. So don't be a spoiled child. Take up your responsibility. That is the third category. Fourth category looks at the next generations. In the next generations, yes, he didn't have any male, so there is no male to male power transference, like kingdom. You know, in the Muslim world, unfortunately, they somehow historically developed a concept of sultans are being the caliphs of the ummah, Khalifa Sultan. Now, Allah, wisdom of the Creator, Allah, declared that the power transference, which word was it?
Transfer. It should be transfer to make it simple.
Thank you very much. Transferring power from father to the son is not valid. Transfer of power, not valid. So if person is in taking the power from his father and declaring that I am the authority, it is not valid. So that is why the prophet's generation, new generation, came through women. So it is interesting that these children, Hassan, Hussein, and their progenies, tried to protect Islam as much as possible. All the generations, this is in Shia tradition, imams, they were all great people. All great people tried to understand, but political side is different. Political side, I'm not interested in political side, but all of the imams were great scholars, and they tried their best as much as they could under the surveillance of the sultans or the limitations, or they were always under surveillance of the some of them were imprisoned in house, but despite all these difficulties, obstacles, they tried their best. Then their descendants, which are called Sayyid, they try to protect or keep the the religion of Islam and the heritage continue. That is one side of it. But what I understand from fourth point, as far as the kingdom is concerned, from his own reality, the prophet's own reality, kingdom transfer of power is finished. That is even more important for me. So that is what the differences are from the same verse to be understood, inshallah. Sorry. Assalamu alaikum. Not very clear, but I think you got it.
All right, Adam, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Brother Ali, for explanation. So is this verse a kind of negation of those people who say that the inheriting of the messenger should come through his family? Is that what can be taken from the fourth point?
Also, it doesn't mean that I am the grandson of or great-great-grandson of the prophet. I will be the ruler. No, it doesn't mean. That is what Shiite people claim, that they have the right. I personally don't agree, because the father, from the father to the son doesn't work. It is just through excuse me. So this is rejected. But at the same time, the tradition that the Sunni tradition followed, the kingdom is also rejected. So no inheritance from somebody's father. That's it. What will happen? Like it happened during the first 4, and in fact 5 caliphs: Abu Bakr, Umar, Ali, Osman, Hussein. No, I'm sorry, Hassan. But later on, Hassan, after 6 months of his caliph, Ummah elected Hassan as a caliph, or Emirul Mu'minin. And because Hassan was a wise man, so he understood that if he insisted, the Damascus center, it was Muawiyah, not our Muawiyah, is he here? No. So Muawiyah will come and cause fighting. That's why Hassan resigned and left it to Muawiyah in order to protect the Ummah from fitna, internal disturbance. So, five caliph should continue. Neither Shi'i claim is correct according to this ayah, nor that is Shi'i claim, nor Sunni tradition. They don't claim, but tradition is approved. So, caliphate, Emirul Mu'minin caliphate, the chain of caliphate must be elected individually by Ummah, the general public of the Muslim population.
So the Muslim tradition is to inherit. That's the thing.
Sorry?
The Muslim tradition is to inherit. That's what you said. The Sunni.
No, that is the tradition.
Yeah,
They accept the Sultanate, didn't they?
I see.
Yeah, so that is tradition, not claim, because none of the Sunni or tradition authority scholars said that the inheritance from father, the inheritance of power from father is legitimate. No, none of the Sunni scholars claimed that. But practically, traditionally, practically, they couldn't resist the sultans. Sultans, whoever raised his hand or head, they smashed them down. So Abu Hanifa was punished. Ibn Hanbal was. So great scholars were under either punished or killed, even killed. Yes, Ahmed bin Hanbal suffered a lot of suffering just because he didn't accept the king's idea. So his friend, two people were on the way of exile from their people sent somewhere else. On the way, another great scholar with Ahmed ibn Hanbal died. Only Ahmed ibn Hanbal survived. But of course, they stopped him speaking and teaching. The kings did a lot of harm to Islam. But unfortunately, the scholars couldn't resist it. They were ruthless against any kind of. But they were Muslims. But as long as you obey them, they accepted you. If you don't obey, they say the kingdom doesn't exist in Islam. The prophetic tradition is not kingdom; it is caliph, election, and they were, I mean, disabled. In all of the kings did this with Ahl Sunnah tradition up to Abdul Aziz, Malik Abdul Aziz. So they say he was honestly a caliph, not a sultan. That's why they call it the only king caliph. Some scholars say this. King caliph, real caliph, Abdul Aziz. None of them, none of the others. But the more drastic side of it is Shiite tradition claimed that the authority must be transferred through male descendants.
And based on what do they say that? The transfer of power through male.
No, because Ali's, well, that's political. Now, what is the significance of the last sentence about Hassan and Hussein? Hassan and Hussein are radiant. No, all the generation, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that. Yes, the Prophet didn't legitimize the inheritance of power, transfer of power from father to the son, but it doesn't mean that his generation, through his daughter, was uh, useless people. No, they were great people. That's why, as the Hassan Hussein, the radiant moons of two luminous lines, continue to physical and spiritual line of the son of the Prophet Muhammad. They try to do protect it, but political side is political side. They didn't support political side, but people used them for political purposes. But they were great scholars. Go and read their books. I didn't read their books, but I see the narrations from them. I mean, they are real. You cannot compare them with kings. Kings were ignorant people as far as Islam is concerned. They were just kings. That's it. None of them was as a scholar, like a scholar, any of the descendants of Hassan and Hussein. They were really sincere, practicing Muslim scholars, and they were scholars and also sincere people. That's why the Nursi says spiritual line of the sign of prophethood, not fatherly descendants of the Prophet Muhammad, but spiritual side. Spiritual side means the message, transferring the message. We should never get involved in political side of it. Political side is exploited in both sides, Sunni and Shiite, both of them. Politically, whoever thinks in politically really spoiled Islam.
Thank you, Brother Ali. Any other comments or questions or thoughts? Okay. So let's continue with the first light here reaches a conclusion with 3 rays. All right, so the second light. This was part of the first light, the second light, which has 3 beams. So the first beam. Now, according to the testimony of thousands of brilliant scholars of rhetoric and the science of rhetorical style like Zamakhshari, Sakaki, and Abdul Kahir Jurjani, there is in the Quran of miraculous exposition as a whole. Number 1, a pleasant fluency. Okay, so we're discussing the miracle of the Quran, how different aspects of the Quran. So yeah, so a pleasant fluency, a superior correctness, a firm mutual solidarity, and compact proportionateness. Like precise, concise statements, but they convey a lot of message and meaning, right? So compact proportionateness, powerful cooperation between the sentences and parts, how they're connected, right? And an elevated harmony between the verses and their aims. And yet, while there are 7 or 8 significant factors that might mar or destroy the harmony, cooperation and mutual support, and the fluency and correctness, they do not mar them. Indeed, they give strength to the fluency, correctness, and proportionateness. Only those causes have exerted an influence to some extent, and taken others out of the veil of the order and fluency. But just as a number of bumps and excrescences appear on a tree, so rough spots or bumps on a tree, not to spoil the harmony of the tree, right? Because the branches come through it, but to produce fruit which will be the means for the tree reaching its adorned perfection and beauty. In just the same way, these factors stick out their knobbly heads in order to express meanings which will enhance the Qur'an's fluent word order. Thus, although the perspicuous Qur'an was revealed part by part like stars over 20 years in response to the circumstances and needs, it possesses such a perfect harmony and displays such a proportionateness that it is as though it was revealed all at once. So this part of it being revealed all at once, although it was revealed in 20 something years, right? 23 years, based on the circumstances and needs. That's how the revelation took place. Furthermore,
I think before going there, we have to remember another aspect. I think it is not mentioned here. Never done proofreading or editing, changing. This is very important, miraculous. Once set, that's it. That's it, no change. Circumstances, no. This is amazing. 23 years keeping the consistency and proportionateness. This is also important. Consistency and proportionateness. Proportionateness, consistency never gives any in belief matters. Never gives any change. But in practical matters, it is consistent. Although some people, some scholars, great scholars, for some reason defend abrogation, nesikh. But some others don't. And they said this abrogation is related to the previous revelations and also related to the creation. So something, for example, when I get old, I'm created old, and God takes me away and creates a new generation, fresh. So that is, I am abrogated when I die, abrogated from creation. And some people say but the Torah and Bible is abrogated, Quran established according to new conditions. That is, it doesn't mean that the previous verse, and also in terms of the verses, it depends on the stages of the people. Some people just newly introduced to Islam, it takes time for them to change, like the slavery system, theoretically abolished. Everybody is Abdullah, only Rab is the Rabbul Alamin. Finished. No slavery, theoretically, I call it, that is the constitutional law. How about the transition? Took time. But I mean, artificially continued by the kings, that is exceptional and justified by some king supporter scholars. But I don't think so. I don't agree at all. So it was the gradual diminishing and ending. It means we have to see the significance of gradual education. For example, universe is created gradually. Everything in the universe is reaching their point of perfection gradually. Quran is revealed gradually. Muslim community under the leadership of the Prophet was educated gradually. Human beings grow gradually. Human beings learn gradually. Nothing happens immediately. So teachings of the Quran responds to the needs of the people, circumstances and needs of the people who are introduced to Islam according to their capacity at their time. The famous example, prohibition of zina, prohibition of interest, prohibition of alcohol, and practice of sound fasting took gradual, started from 10 days and then 1 month. 1 month. And famous alcohol prohibition, zina prohibition as well, gradually. And what was the other one? Prohibition of interest, gradually. And all of them reached their climax at the last pilgrimage of the Prophet, the 1 year before, I think 1 year before his death. Everything was finalized during the Hajj period, and the Prophet declared, faiz interest is completely haram, finish, period. Zina is completely haram, finish, period. And family life must be established in this way. Completely, but gradually, according to the relationship between wife and husband and children, the rights of children, rights of wife, the rights of husband were also gradually. And finally, the Prophet said, take care of your wives and never beat them. Because this tarp has many meanings, or that's a special subject. But we have to know that you cannot just divorce your wife as you like, say that I divorced you, finished. No, you have to go 3 stages. Each stage takes 1 month. And each stage has its own characteristics, advice. These are all finalized just 1 year before the death of the Prophet ﷺ. And Tabuk war, the finalized draft, declared draft. Everybody must join. Any able people must join the army. That's it. Now they were trained. First, if you like, come on, it is better for you, and then you have to. You have to join the defense of defending the community rights. So gradual. Now, I see the Islam is a religion of gradual improvement. So we should understand that all these ayats gradually and consistently establish the education of the people, and also proportionately. What does it mean? Which one is more important? For example, belief in Allah, fundamental. Belief in angels, fundamental. Belief in the hereafter, fundamental. Belief in the prophethood and following the prophet, fundamental. Look at the verses. All of them are about this. But now it comes to the secondary subjects. You see them secondary subject. How many times fasting is ordered? How many times this zina is ordered, prohibited? How many times the verses interest is prohibited? Zina is prohibited finally. Before there was another practice, gradual practice, where the Shia people exploited and used mut'anika. Although they are very serious about it, we may not know it. There are 12 conditions to practice, which are very hard, very hard. Well, not many people are practicing mut'anika anyway, sincere Shiites. But it's so difficult, the rules. But still, is not. It is just for a stage, gradual education stage. Now, can we say that we can drink alcohol now because there are some ayat? No. At that level, all of them are proportionately adjusted. That's why we have to always, we discuss and mention the importance of 95% of the Quran is about belief matters and moralities, ethical matters. 5% proportionate. Without belief matter, you cannot really practice Islam. After belief matters or items are established firmly, then one word, one command is enough for you. Finish. Kütübe aleykumus siyam. Finish. So you have to fast during Ramadan. Finish once. Once. That's it. But because of the importance of prayer, it is repeated maybe 24 or 26 times in the Quran. Proportionate. We have to pay attention. The most important thing is to see that the universe is not stable by itself. So you see many ayat describing, as it is called, the signs of doomsday. The Qiyamah is the destruction of the universe. It is very important. We have to understand that we shouldn't rely on this world or worldly benefits, worldly gain. We have to understand this. But proportionately, that's what we have to realize. Angels, belief in angels is essential, very important, and it is everywhere in the Quran, etc. Sorry, I'm sorry I spoke a lot again.
Thank you. So all these came gradually to make us understand, alhamdulillah. Yeah. I think we are at time right now, so we'll continue next time, inshallah. Any other final comments by anyone? So we'll look at this. Yep. So we'll continue from furthermore, all the circumstances on the Quran's revelation from next time, inshallah. So Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma alamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati surat al-Fatiha.